Year of the Mecha continues onto the PSP for some reason. Actually, there is kind of a fairly good reason. Hello, Hasio. Glad you could make it. Kaboom's here with me to take a look at the first of a few games that we're going to be demonstrating on Year of the Mecha that are by a developer by the name of Artdink. You may have played a game of theirs or two. They've actually been around for quite a while. Mostly known for a lot of licensed stuff.
Yeah, they tend to be almost like a sort of a licensed sweatshop.
Yeah, like they're kind of the go-tos for like if a big company like Bandai is trying to get someone to like make a game based on their IP, and that is like, yeah, they'll make something that's functional and works. Yeah, and they happen to do that a lot for multiple Gundam games. This is one of them.
Wow, look at all those JPEGs.
Yeah.
Can you feel the action yet?
So, but at least for a bit of extra context with this game, like there are multiple Gundam games for PSP by Artdink. This isn't the first one or the last one. This is what I just landed on because from looking up people's kind of like impressions and thoughts like on these sets of games, that this is kind of one of the more fan favorites. It's basically like all Universal Century focused, basically going from 1 Year War all the way to Char's counterattack.
Yeah, kind of standard stuff for this kind of game, really.
Yeah. It sucks the least. Definitely not that. I can say as much. No.
Well, I'm unfamiliar with this one, so but already just going by that intro, my impressions are not high.
I mean, look, they like Artdink. They can make something functional. They're never given the biggest budget to pump into all the other like production values. That's just kind of how things go in this genre.
That's a fair point, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's but I guess as far as like other things related to Artdink's pedigree, even before this, if you've ever heard of a game for the PS1 known as Carnage Hearts.
Oh yes, that game was completely unplayable unless you took like an 18-week intensive training camp.
Yeah, unless you knew the basics of like programming AI.
Yeah,
because that's what that was. Fortunately, this is not that. We are not programming AI for Gundams to fight automatically. We're actually controlling them directly, and this is where the fact that this is a PSP game is like genuinely impressive to me, considering I was never too big on the PSP back when it was relevant. I was more of a DS kid, just because like especially the major games that were there for it were like way more in tune to the sensibilities of handheld games that I felt like at the time.
Sure.
But here, these guys managed to make a very robust control system and mechanics for a third-person Gundam mecha action game that works with the limited controls of a PSP.
Yeah, you were saying this before we started the stream, and
yeah.
I remember what action games on the PSP were like. So
yes.
I'm already calling shenanigans.
I mean, we might as well kind of start first by going through, obviously, kind of like what we got for mission select. Obviously, there's like a whole training, like series of training missions that actually go over all the different facets of the controls and the mechanics in quite a bit of detail. And then following that, as you can see with all the numbers, that refers to the year on the Universal Century calendar. So we've got Original Gundam, we've got Stardust Memory, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, and Char's Counterattack, plus some extra missions. Like there's stuff in there that includes, I think, like, because they're like bonus, because like there's even bonus missions and units related to stuff like Gundam F91, for instance.
Show us Australia. Well, we'd love to, but, well...
Yeah, Robokai's house is no longer there.
We can show you the smoldering crater where Robokai's house was. Does that count?
Yes, something like that. I forget. Is there even a, Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, you can see the hole where Sydney was.
That crater.
Oh. Rip Robokai. And
People right in the middle of Australia didn't even notice the difference. They were like, the toxic wasteland that's arid and kills everyone slightly less lethal today.
Yeah, somehow. And all the emus are just unscathed.
Can just go out without a hat today.
Yeah. Drop bears, they don't gotta worry about anything.
The drop bears are too busy fighting spiders for water.
Yeah.
As is my understanding, mostly from places like Tank Girl, admittedly.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So when you select the mission, you get stuff like a briefing that's all in Japanese text, but you kind of don't need to, like the objectives themselves are not too, like they're not too hard to understand. Most of it just boils down to, hey, there are enemies, fucking blow them up.
Here are the bad guys, Hilly they ass.
Yeah. So you got a fuck ton of different units. As you could tell as I was loading this up, this is a save file I just downloaded so that I would have access to pretty much everything that possibly exists in this game to show it off. Like you can see there's all like the crazy extra units. But then there's, you know, the OG right there. You get a whole lot of categories to place upgrades in. Like you have HP. There's 2 different defense types for solid and beam ammunition. Forget what this 4th one is, but I know that these have to do with like thruster output and speed. And then like just kind of like miscellaneous ones for like kind of like vernier, like all this other stuff. Fuck, I forget. I mean, Hasio's here. Balancer. Yes, that's what it was. I thought I was radar. Yeah, I'm still not consistent on being able to recognize my katakana, but sometimes I get it.
Surprisingly in depth for a PSP game, let alone a tie-in game.
Yeah. And then, of course, that extends further to the weapons, because they also have their own upgrade categories beneath it for, like, attack power, reload times, ammunition. With this being the Gundam, you naturally got, like, your beam rifle, your hyper bazooka, napalm. The head Vulcans that are, like, always useless are still there. Beam
Super napalm for ultra war crimes.
Yeah. That's super napalm, by the way. Very powerful if you actually get it to connect with someone. Because it's otherwise, like, you're basically setting a canister down on the ground, and you have to expect someone to go over to it to detonate. Yeah.
The amount of stuff that you can upgrade and so forth oddly reminds me of the Rengoku games on the PSP, if you ever played them.
I haven't, actually, no.
Strongly recommend the second one. Very cool game, but it also had like ridiculous levels of, like, granted the level up system was fairly straightforward for the weaponry, and that you just had to keep using it and it would upgrade a random category. But there was still like 7 or 8 different things that you could upgrade, and each one could be upgraded like 30 odd times.
Yeah. So besides going in with your own unit, you also get a partner. That you can also select their particular mobile suit. Might as well go with like the...
These fire nuts?
Yeah, going with the gun tank. Why not? Just
hopefully this isn't a space-based mission, otherwise he's going to be fucked.
Oh no, this is starting on the ground. We're kind of at the beginning of the 1-year war, as it were. But yeah, and as you can see, the thing with upgrades here, as you can see, there's like the points that you can kind of like place into all these different categories, but there's a, you know, like there's a maximum amount of points that you can basically like kind of invest into a particular into the unit as a whole, because let's say, for instance, we'll go back to the main stats. Let's say I just completely downgrade all of the beam defenses I have invested up to this point. See, I got now a bunch of extra points in reserve. And let's dump that into HP to overcharge it further. But as you can see, it becomes exponentially more expensive once you start pumping it like into the red. The general idea is that, if possible, you want to get most, if not all, of your categories, if the points allow for it, basically to max out the yellow portion, because going it into the red just turns it into, like, just overtuned, like, category.
Yeah, essentially just the points aren't going to waste, but it's a waste to use them there rather than somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing where, like, when you look at other mecha games by Artdink for the system, like, after this, they're a lot more straightforward with and honest with, like, the points, like, the point threshold that you eventually reach to with all units, where it is actually possible to just boost all of those categories to their absolute maximum, where you are, like, in, like, that final third category of that meter, where it's all overcharged.
Yeah.
Sir, it can't take any more HP. It'll explode.
I've given her all she's got. Any more than that and she'll blow. Yes, I can be more Scottish. Usually for comedy reasons.
Yeah. So, controlling this is, as you might expect compared to past mecha games from other developers, it is lock-on based. You press R1 to lock on to the nearest target, and your camera will center around right on it. You have dashes, which are done by... you could either do it by moving in a direction and pressing X to do like a jumping dash, you know, activate your jump jets. Or you double tap and you'll dash in different directions, which you can actually curve after you do the initial one. So if you press like down, like I did there, and press to the right, you'll curve to the right, etc.
Okay. Not a terrible way of doing things. Fairly simplistic, but, you know, on the PSP, I can genuinely say I played a lot worse.
Yeah, it's... like, at this point, with all the games that have been shown on this series, you can clearly... recognize that that there is like virtual on influence in everything. It is like the major game that has kind of informed a lot of design decisions for any other developer that has contributed to this genre.
Also, I like the victory screen where it says, "Congratulations, you didn't get murdered."
Yep.
You didn't fuck up tremendously. Well done.
Some missions here, meanwhile, have they're like two-parters. Like, as you kind of saw with all like the rankings, there were like some missions that have like two separate letter ranks. That's because the first half you'll get an individual rank for, but then it will go directly into a new mission environment because it's like both are technically connected, but they don't obviously have like a means to like just stream like immediately into that next environment. So they have to treat it like it's a new mission. You can see as well all the other different Gundam types that we got. We have got like the Easy 8 in here.
Yep. A couple of them I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah. Some of them are actually from previous Gundam games that weren't even shown on this feature, for instance. Like the Mudrock is directly from the PS2 game Zeonic Front.
Oh, I know that some of the games had unique units that never really showed up anywhere else, so
yeah.
That's where they're from.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of looking through this roster and realizing how you would think in a lot of cases that like just like a cheaply made like video game tie-in for a franchise like this wouldn't get much recognition outside of those, but the fact that stuff like, you know, stuff that Zeonic Front or the Blue Destiny or Rise from the Ashes, you know, like, you know, there's the Blue Destiny right there as I was talking about it, like, gets, like, the same level of recognition and validity as the main series is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the folks that worked on this were definitely fans of Gundam as a whole, as opposed to just like, okay, we're doing this because it's a job. Yeah. And that's always gratifying to see.
Especially with stuff like Blue Destiny and the like, because because like some of these specific units were from games that were designated as Gundam side story games. Like the whole idea is that they took place in like events that were happening simultaneously to the original Gundam as part of the 1-year war, and like they were basically conceived by like the same core studio that eventually got folded into Bandai Namco itself. So seeing it being as well acknowledged in a game made by someone that isn't that, because Artdink didn't make those, that's cool to see at least. Yeah,
you know, there was one guy on the production team that was like, we gotta get in Blue Destiny. Like, we have to.
Yeah.
And they're just like, all right, Tim, just shut up and get back to work.
Yeah, let's... Oh, wait, hold on. I was trying to, Yeah. Oh, yeah, and there's also other things you could do besides this, because, like, we've had our custom pilot up to this point, but over time you can unlock, you know, like, the actual pilots from existing series and get to use them.
Ah, Hero Yui. Don't put him in the Wing Gundam, he'll just blow it up.
Well, fortunately, we do not have any of the alternate continuities in here. I mean, this is Shiro Amada, I think it is. Like, wasn't he, like, yeah, he was, like, the main pilot of the Easy 8 in 8th MS team.
Hmm.
Yeah, but let's see if I can... Actually, I'm trying to see... Oh, yeah, I think some of these were from Stardust Memory. I'm trying to remember... Is it in here? Like, kind of going back to Blue Destiny... I'm trying to find, like, if Yu Kajima, who's, like, the pilot of the Blue Destiny, is in here somewhere. It's just kind of bogged down because with this being, like, a super complete save file, it's also including all the Xeon units, which continuity-wise makes no sense, because we're technically on the Federation side. Like, when you start a new game, and you're making your custom pilot and partner, you're choosing from the start, like, which side of the war you're on, as well as getting to choose whether you're a normal or a new type, which doesn't really impact much beyond just a couple of stat changes.
Yeah.
Okay, no, here it is. I recognize the katakana. That's Yu Kajima. Yeah, so we'll go with that.
I was going to say as well, let's be honest, like, seeing them with the helmet on just makes it so much harder to identify who's who.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, obviously, there's folks like Jared that you recognize just because they look that unique. But for a lot of the original Gundam pilots, it's like, yep, that's a guy wearing a helmet. His face is blue. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this weird sort of thing with, like, how some games you see where their artists only give enough of a shit to, like, but basically draw, like, the super important characters for the story, and all the background mob characters just have, like, the face shadow.
Yeah, or it's just a generic portrait for everyone.
Yeah. Let's... Yeah, I can see that the Easy 8 hasn't really seen any actual combat itself, so let's get it beefed up and ready. Yeah. Yeah, boost the attack power and the reload. Saber bazooka. Same for the 180mm cannon. Again, no kill like overkill. Yeah, I think that will be fine. Blue Destiny has gotten plenty of upgrades already as is. I mean, like, we even hit, like, the maximum amount that we could use. It's just the extra points off to the left are all the leftover stuff that you still earn from completing missions anyway.
Also, 100mm machine gun. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also an extra neat little detail. Like, there's this little category SFS. These are for, like, the special vehicles that mobile suits can mount and, like, use as like a mobile gun platform if they need.
Oh, like flight units and that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially with, like, these ones right here that I'm kind of cycling back and forth. Like, they're meant to be, like, when you're standing on them, you take on, like, a sort of rudimentary flight model where they're always moving forward, and the D-pad now, like, the up and down movements adjust your pitch.
Yeah, your altitude and that.
Yeah, but we don't need any of those for this two-parter.
Are there any special ones reserved for certain units, like the RX-78 and that? Like the core booster and so on.
Like stuff that just attaches as bonuses to the unit itself?
Yeah.
Well, I know there's still different versions of, like, the RX-78 too. Like, I think there's the one where, like, in brackets, like, it was abbreviated as, like, MC. I forget, but, like, there's nothing in the way of, like, accessories that are just shared between, like, all of the different units or whatnot. But okay, here we go. Yeah, just gotta. Okay, just trying to. Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember again, like how to explain all these different controls. But you do have guard with with the left shoulder button, and that button itself is like a key to making this game's like controls as comprehensive and good as they are. Because when you're dealing with like a system like the PSP, where it has less inputs than a DualShock 2, you definitely start to feel like, well, that means you have less things to do, right? Wrong. Unless you know about the concept of like input combinations, suddenly the amount of options you have in battle are expanded tremendously. And that's where holding the guard button comes in, because if you hold guard and press attack, you can do like a supercharged version of like whatever attack, like whatever weapon you're using to fire.
There's quite a few games in the PSP that were like, okay, we clearly don't have enough buttons. Hold down one of the shoulder buttons, and all of a sudden, everything else has a secondary or tertiary purpose now.
Yeah, and it's a sort of thing as well where like that applies to like your ranged weapon that you have equipped. When you're holding guard and you press square, that is how you cycle through your primary weapons. So that's how I change through the machine gun, the beam rifle, and my chest missiles. When you're not guarding, you always have like a secondary weapon, like these hand grenades. If we were back using the RX-78, it would have been the head Vulcans. But like those side offhand weapons are basically stuff that is always locked in place on your particular unit.
So I noticed with the weaponry there was a little bar going down. Do you have infinite ammo when you just reload, or
Yes.
do you have limited ammo?
Yeah, it is infinite. It's just you have to go through like a reload period that still goes down even when you select to a different weapon. So that's basically kind of where you're given the incentive to, use everything in your arsenal.
Gotcha.
Now, here's an important thing as well that adds even more depth to what this game's combat has, even when it's all lock-on based. Let me switch over to the beam rifle. So when I just press the button, I'm shooting at the last known position of the target. But if I hold the button, notice how the crosshair is like occasionally moving and jittering around. That is because it is trying to aim in the direction of where the target is moving. So you have
predictive.
Yeah, you have the free ability to decide whether like to fire at their location or do fire prediction, which I appreciate when mecha games or like any sort of game where you have like it's a lock-on based combat system regardless can give you that option. It's enough to provide just that much more depth.
I mean, shit, I can't think of any modern games that do that.
Yeah, I mean most modern games would like probably just like default to the, well, everyone uses the right stick to aim, we might as well just do that, everyone does it. And then it just becomes a kind of boring standard control scheme. Oh yeah, and of course, it wouldn't be Gundam if you couldn't get in close with like a beam saber and just do melee. Although I think
it's more have melee done to you at this point.
Yeah. Damn it.
Maybe stick with ranged weapons?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. but I was just trying to demonstrate the different moves that I could, where it is like you have like a combo, you have a charged version of your melee when you hold guard, and you have like a special like boost dash melee that you can do when you're in the middle of a dash. And if the target itself is down and they're not getting into their wake up animation, you can do like a downward like melee stab to try and deal extra damage before they return to neutral.
Well, like a ground stomp.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that's just what like one of the two-parters are like. There are space missions. You know, so like whenever you look at the map on the right, just kind of showing where it's taking place. We've obviously been doing like Earth-based missions, so it shows like a part of the globe where it takes place. But then when you get to space missions, it gives you a sense of like which part of like the whole Earth sphere it's going to be taking place in. Like, let me trying to remember which what is it, because I think one of these. Oh yeah, this one involves the Blue Destiny itself. So that's like we'll be finding like a unit that's from that particular conflict.
Cool.
Yeah, but there's still a little bit of gravity on this because even though we're in space, we're fighting on the exterior of a space colony itself.
So there's no free floating battle in this? Is everything like on a plane essentially?
No, there is. It's just this one's kind of an exception because they want this particular setting to be.
Right.
I imagine with like because the free floating space missions that are in here, there's basically no objects that you can land on and use as ground. I imagine that's something they would have wanted to do, but was probably like a coding nightmare to figure out.
Yeah, because remember the Gundam Warriors games had quite a few space-based stages, and with those, essentially you had limited vertical control, but everything was still on a plane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and here's something extra that I can show off while my partner is all busy with this shit. With the hand grenades, another nice bit of nuance that comes with the controls, even how limited and digital they are. When it comes to like explosive attacks, like not just grenades, but even like artillery cannons, the direction you press on the D-pad will change the trajectory. So this is just like a regular high toss. Oh, Nimbus Stern is interrupting us at the moment. This asshole who stole one of the Blue Destiny units for himself. But, like, when I press left and right, you do, like, a kind of outward curve in that direction with the grenade or artillery shell. And then pressing down, basically, it gets rid of, like, the sort of the high trajectory and instead just shoots it straight forward.
Ah.
So,
Again,
yeah,
something that most games today don't even have.
Yeah, Artdink was given an assignment of, like, make a comprehensive, like, third-person Gundam action system for the PSP. Because the PSP is popular and, like, portable, like, handheld games as a whole generally have more popularity in Japan than they do in other parts of the world. So it's like, how do you make something that feels as good as, like, what's on a console? Like, oh, fuck.
Plus, mid-2000s, Gundam was going through a bit of a renaissance again.
Yeah. And even then, this was still, like, I think, like, a couple years before they got around to, like, revisiting, like, Universal Century proper when they did, like, Gundam Unicorn. Like, this was still kind of in the period where the expectation was every new Gundam is a new continuity.
Yeah. Because this probably would have come out around about the time Gundam 00 was out.
Yes.
And that series was bafflingly popular.
I mean, so is Seed, but at least 00 Season 1, I think, has more merit than any of those.
I mean, low-hanging fruit there, admittedly. You know, compare anything to Seed, and it's gonna be a masterpiece.
Yeah. How fucking absurd is it that there is, like, a new Gundam Seed series of all things in 2023?
I mean, ignoring just the quality of the story, because there is none.
Yeah.
I just cannot stand the artists that they got to design all the characters.
Yeah.
And they've done a couple of series, like the Fafnir series, which I know is just 100% my shit. But every time I watch it, I'm like, these character designs are just so goddamn ugly.
Yeah, it's especially apparent when you look at it that it's got same face syndrome all over it.
Oh, 100%. The entire series might as well be filled with clones. You've got so many same faces going on.
Yeah.
And if you can get past that, I envy you, genuinely. Because, as I said, I know Fafnir is everything that I would like in a series. Those character designs, no. Ugly.
Yeah. Let's get some short toss grenades out. Ah. Well, those didn't go anywhere. as Seed got the designer stuck. Okay. Okay. That explains a lot. Where apparently, like, I guess, like, the character designer had a bit more, like, of, like, I guess, the interesting design behind, like, his work, but it was after Seed where it just really, like, kind of pigeonholed, like, how his stuff was expected to look.
Yeah, is that the guy responsible for the character designs in Stride? Because I fucking love that show.
And that blows my mind because I've seen Stride and I'm like, I would not have thought first thing that those were the same character artists.
Polar opposites.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
But also when I think of Stride, I just think of, like, this is proto-Needless. As just far as, like, some bizarro, like kind of sort of a post-apocalyptic setting where everyone's got crazy superpowers.
Very similar, weirdly, to the Witchblade anime as well. I saw Stride way back in the day, and then saw a couple of episodes of Witchblade and was like, this is just Stride with big tits, isn't it?
Yeah.
But not quite as good. Apparently it does get a lot better in the second half. I've been meaning to go back to it for years, but the first half I was like, I've seen this series and it was better from the off.
Anyway, finally remembered that this being a Blue Destiny unit, that it has this function. We have activated the exam system. So we now have the power of a new type supplementing our ability as a pilot.
And now it's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, this is, like, stupidly fast now.
Just everyone teleporting from one end of the battlefield to the other while people stand there, just eyes zipping back and forth going, oh.
Yeah. Oh, I still got fucking blown up at the end. God damn it. But yeah,
so
that's like
the power of a not new type. It's really something.
Well, no, I choose to believe that's more a result of. Well, no, it doesn't blow up if the exam system goes on for too long. Instead, what happens when the exam system goes on for too long is that the pilot goes insane. Because it's literally channeling the brainwaves of a new type that was used as the basis for the exam system itself. It's a whole fucking thing from that original game.
Also, I just noticed the game over screen just says disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad.
Yeah.
You just watched the war and I'm very disappointed.
That comes up a lot because this game otherwise is quite difficult. Like, compared to, like, the other, like, I'm going to say that this is more of a thing of, like, their Gundam games in particular, because they've also done games based on Macross, and the Macross games overall, I find, are, like, way easier to kind of, like, get through kind of, like, starting out compared to this. I think mostly because of just how they're trying to channel the sort of lethality of, like, Mobile Suit Combat as portrayed in those original anime, where it is, like, you know, they're moving around a lot. A lot of the weapons are, like, single projectiles, but, like, if they do manage to hit you, you feel their pain.
Oh yeah, everything in Gundam is either I can tank this for hours or one lucky shot and I'm dead.
Yeah, whereas you look at Macross, it's like, you know, the majority of the weapons are all, like, rapid-fire weapons or homing missiles. From, like, a gameplay standpoint, you wouldn't want just one bullet or one missile from that to be the end of you, so they have to, by design, make it a game where it's a death by 1,000 cuts. So it's a lot easier to power through in that context.
Yeah, either make the weapons weaker or make the units tankier, essentially.
Pretty much. There was, War in the Pocket or Stardust Memory. I mean, like, that's where, like, I think it's mainly Stardust Memory is where, like, the, like, what the 83 kind of category on the mission select was. But we're going all the way to Char's counterattack. I'm trying to see if, oh yeah, you can see there's the Zeta units. We got the Hyakishiki, Zeta Gundam, Rick Diaz, which I'm still makes me laugh that is the name of a mobile suit. Like, it's the weirdest name that passes off the most as a normal person's name.
It sounds like he should be a coked up music producer from the 1980s. Hi, my name's Rick Diaz.
Yeah, Rick Sanchez and Rick Diaz. Yeah, that's also that's also the other thing. It just makes me it makes me think of Rick Sanchez. Yeah, got Plant. Yeah, all these insane as fuck Xeon names. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I just love how towards the end they were like, fuck it, 50 beam sabers on one unit. It's completely impractical, but it'll scare the shit out of anyone that sees it. Go, now!
Yep.
Mass production.
Pretty much.
Like, someone compared it to what the Germans did towards the end of World War II, where they were like, yes, we're going to mount a battleship cannon on a tank. No, it's not practical, but it will scare the other side.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what they did.
I'm impressed how fast they got those units into production, considering that they were all in space. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
I'm guessing safety features weren't a primary concern at the time.
No, especially. Well, no, this obviously would have been after Giranzabi's whole fucking plan was just sunk along with him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and remember, this was a guy who looked at Hitler and went, "That guy was a pussy. I can do better."
Yeah. I do like the detail where, depending on the era, you like the eye catch for like the mission title. It represents what it would have been like for the episode title of the series it would have been in. You know, because we were in OG Gundam, and it was the do.
Yep. Go fight bravely.
Yep. There we go. Funnels activated.
Everything dies now.
This is why you play as the new Gundam. Oh yeah, and wait, no, never mind. I just remember there is actually some light flight combat that's kind of like similar to how it controls in space. Because I am boosting forward. There's like a bit of the momentum, but like when I'm holding the X button to boost forward, it's not making me go up. It's forward because up and down now adjusts the pitch.
Mm.
So that's a cool detail.
10 Man from Oz is the first robot funnel. Okay, so we're going to need you to leave now.
Oh, Jesus.
Just go, please. That was terrible.
I do wish that, like, this is definitely something where, like, the other mecha games by Artdink could handle this a lot better. I do feel like the range at which, like, you can initiate melee and have it just basically make you home in towards the target when close enough. I do wish that was a lot stronger in this Gundam game compared to stuff like the Macross titles they've done, because I keep initiating it like farther away than I really should be, and I just flail at the air, not hitting anything. That's always frustrating. Yeah. Let's see. Get over there. It's a shame, though, that there's no dedicated input as the new Gundam to be able to fire, like, the new Hyper Bazooka while it's still attached to your back. Just do, like, a half backflip and then, like, shoot it from the underside. Oh, look who it is.
Okay, what name is he using today? He has 17.
Just Char, thankfully. We're not having to deal with the 4 vaginas.
I just picture him like someone asking him for his ID, and he pulls out his wallet, and it's just like one of those big things of credit cards, and he's like, "Who am I to pay?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, a thing with the funnels. You know how I was talking about with grenades and artillery cannons, you could adjust the trajectory. D-pad directions with the funnels will cause them to fire from different angles.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is a bit more like. Gee, okay, camera, calm down. but yeah, it obviously can have like even more different effects depending on the type of vehicle that it or like different mobile suit that it is.
Do you actually have to fire the funnels, or do they just automatically shoot at anything in range?
Yes, you do have to fire them. Like the first button press is to deploy. You know, so like they're back on me in the wing formation. I press the button again, and now they're active and just floating around me. And then pressing the button again, that's how you fire.
Right.
Yeah. Although I think it's also... Maybe I'm misremembering, but I want to say maybe also, like, the D-pad direction also applies to, like, when the funnels are about to be deployed and might affect, like, their formation as well. I forget. There's, like, a lot of stuff from the tutorial missions that, like, covers a lot of these more specific mechanics, but I'm not going to show all of them off here naturally.
A bit too in-depth even for us.
Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sake, even some of the training missions are way harder than they should be for what they are. Which kind of gets back to what we said, where it's like, this game, like, to its credit, capturing the Gundam experience, it does make you feel very fragile. Like, if you're not constantly on the move and picking your shots carefully, you're going to get hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's like a full proper space mission itself. And I think for that... See if we can get one that's from, like, around this time period, like UC calendar 83 or something like that. Oh yeah, there's the GPO1, there's the full boost. Okay, yeah, we could go with that. And yep, look at that, different music to coincide with the time period. But yeah, for, like, these big space missions, they're very much just like a big void with micrometeoroids in the background.
Yeah.
Go fight bravely.
Actually, the models are surprisingly detailed for a PSP game.
Yeah, and then of course you can obviously, like, increase the detail further with this being on an emulator, and you just increase the internal resolution. I'm not doing that, only because, you know, I don't want to, like, have more things taking up CPU power that it might interfere with OBS.
Yeah, that stuff's being held together with duct tape and a wish.
Yeah. But yeah, space combat is, you know, it does highlight, obviously, like, a kind of major limitation you have to work around. Because I've played other games on this series, mainly Another Century's episode. And, like, Zone of the Enders as well has this. I mean, like, it's kind of the core inspiration. But you remember in Zone of the Enders where it's like you had dedicated buttons for, like, moving vertically up or down. You know, like, that is like that extra bit of 3D control because you were in a game where the concept of gravity was a mere suggestion.
Yeah.
Or not even a suggestion. The concept of gravity was politely told to fuck off.
It was a concept and reminded of that fact.
Pretty much. You just can't let these guys escape. But with here, because you don't have those inputs for just manually moving up and down on the Y-axis with, like, 2 buttons, which, funny enough, like, the Macross games do kind of have something like that, but it's a bit more weird because that's where it actually kind of brushes up against the PSP's limited controls for the worse. Because in order to boost downward, you have to double tap the button that you use to boost upward. And it changes the trajectory. Here, you don't have anything like that, so the only way to go up or down is to hold X to boost forward and then adjust your pitch. Okay. So it's a heavy it's a heavy emphasis that's placed. Are we back? I think we're back.
Stream is just showing a couple of pre-roll ads.
Okay, but I'm looking at OBS, and yeah, it says we're live. It's outputting. I see like the bit rate. Sorry about that, everyone. Like, part of that's OBS fault, but the other fault, I'm gonna blame it on Twitch with its various stream servers just not cooperating when I want to connect.
Yeah, we were betrayed by Portland again.
And Seattle, for what it's worth.
Now that one hurts.
Definitely. They have 2 fucking servers in Seattle, and both didn't work. Can you believe that?
Actually, yes.
All right, let's just finish up this goddamn mission. But yeah, kind of as I was talking about, like, this This is very much like in order to successfully maneuver around in space, like you have to boost forward and then kind of, in a way, funny enough, it actually reminds me, like Omega Boost.
Hmm.
You know, like it, because Omega Boost is very much a game where it is like you have to, where you got to, like, boost forward at all times, and all you can do is really, like, adjust your position, unless you were locked on. Okay, so maybe it's not entirely like that. I guess maybe that would make it a bit work weirdly better if, when you were locked on, the D-pad is what changed your elevation.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Although now you mention it, yeah, I am seeing like weird similarities to Omega Boost.
Yeah, especially when it's all like in a void like this.
Yeah.
And somehow I am still hanging on by like a magic pixel.
Take it there's no way to recover health in the game?
No. Well, aside from like special partner like passive abilities that might trigger, you know, where they might give you like a refill of 30% health or something like that. I think you also have like your own like special abilities as well, but like I forget. Like some of them are like mobile suit specific, like the XAM system that I had shown with the Blue Destiny.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, you just kind of have to like make sure that you're good enough to like not get hit all the time, which as you can see, I'm not the best with.
Surprisingly difficult.
And we just gotta keep getting rid of all the stragglers now that we got rid of Gato.
He has metal joints.
Mm-hmm. Congrats! We've returned alive. Us and the stream.
Way to go for not dying.
Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly go back to like the main menu because, well, we won't really get far in it. Oh, I guess those were either like unit upgrades or unlocks, I forget, but whatever. What I'm actually going to do is go to the title menu because I figured I might as well briefly show, you know, if someone were to play this for themselves and aren't going to go the route of just downloading like a completed save file off of GameFAQs like I did for demonstration purposes. You know, what does starting a new game look like? Well, you know, as I was kind of describing, you go through various menus as far as like how to set it up. Like you have to make your custom pilot, and it all starts by which faction you want to be a part of, the Earth Federation or the Space Nazis. I mean Xeon.
And if you pick Xeon, it slaps you in the hand and says, "No, do it again."
Yeah, and then of course new type and normal, which is just more like kind of like stat influences, if anything. It's not something crazy where it's like, could you imagine if there was like a game like this where it's like the only way to play as the units that have like fin funnels or like anything that require like a SciComm link that you had to be a new type? That would
literally
super limiting.
like a good third of the late game suits would be completely unusable.
Yeah. So we'll go with new type. You can then choose your portrait, all of which are designed to be generic and, like, barely distinguishable. Although this one you can at least tell is a lady.
That or it could be Makuve.
Fair point.
The hair. Come on.
Alright. Then, of course, you gotta input a name. Just why not? I mean, this is temporary. I'm not gonna be, like, using this file, if anything. Or even the, going back to my old one for very much, just because, again, like, it's hard in a way where, like, to me, like, this game is important in the sense that it and, like, kind of the previous Gundam games Artdink made before is kind of establishing that they figured out a formula that works for the context of, like, a PSP mecha action game. But, you know me, both in terms of the source material and the games, I'm way more of a fan of Macross. So, no shit that I would, like, play their Macross games more, like, on the whole than even their Gundam games. As good as this one is to play.
Okay, that one... Go back a sec, if you can.
Oh. Yeah. This?
Yeah. What?
She's like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
She looks like she's trying not to sneeze.
Yeah.
and has been drinking heavily for the last 8 hours.
Yeah, so we know who we're going with.
Yeah, she fell into the cockpit just because she couldn't stand up.
Yeah. And then they were like, you're not going into the cockpit anymore. You're just going to be an operator. Wear the headset. Oh, yeah, and then you can also make your partner pilot, which can either be like a new type or normal, and then you have to choose any of the remaining portraits that you didn't go with. Yes, my naming scheme is very original. And for what it's worth, how many people even know that, like, the name Australis exists as, like, the sort of, like, the parallel to Borealis?
Game over.